It started off like any other business trip. I arrived in the city, nothing flashy, no motorcade, no entourage, just me and a carry on bag. The hotel was extravagant, the kind of place where the walls whisper wealth and the valet barely looks at you unless you're stepping out of a sports car. I checked in quietly. I'd found a few discount coupons online and thought, why not? A good deal's a good deal. The concierge took the coupons like they were contaminated. I noticed the glance he shot to his coworker, the raised brow, the smirk that followed. A couple of guests near by caught wind of it too, and suddenly it felt like the whole lobby was in on the joke. See, in places like that, humility is sometimes mistaken for lack of worth. And in that moment, I could feel their judgment pressing down heavier than any suitcase. But I didn't flinch. I wasn't there to impress anyone. I was there to make something meaningful happen. It wasn't about the money. It was about something more real, the irony. They were mocking someone who was just trying to live simply, with respect for value, not flaunting wealth, but honoring something deeper. The truth is, how you carry yourself when no one's watching speaks louder than any fortune ever could. Later that evening, I headed down to the lounge to grab a tea and review a few notes. The place was buzzing with energy, executives laughing too loud, waits half weaving through with practiced smiles, the usual rhythm of wealth on display. I took a quiet seat in the corner, just observing. A few of the people I was set to meet the next day were there, already deep in conversation. One of them glanced over, then nudged the man beside him. They chuckled just loud enough. One leaned in and whispered something, and that's when I heard it. Guess we'll need to comp his tea, might be using coupons again. Laughter followed. Now, I'm no stranger to jokes. I've heard them all, but this wasn't playful. This was small-minded mockery dressed up in designer suits. And it wasn't just them. Some of the hotel staff joined in with those subtle, knowing looks, that kind of arrogance. It doesn't need volume to echo. It was all around. Still, I stayed seated, calm. Not because I was trying to prove anything, but because I've learned, over time, that dignity doesn't rise to the bait. I could have confronted them, called it out, but what would that have changed? Their behavior didn't offend me. It revealed them. In rooms full of noise, it's the quiet ones who see everything clearly. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. I sat by the window, watching the city come to life, people rushing to meetings, taxi horns echoing off the glass towers, steam rising from street grates. But something felt heavy, not in my chest, not in anger, just in spirit. I kept thinking about the night before. Not because of what was said, but because of what it meant. How quick people can be to judge. How easily kindness is mistaken for weakness. And how far some will go to protect their status, even if it means belittling someone else. I wasn't upset. Not really. Just disappointed. Disappointed that the people I was about to sit across from, the same ones who'd laughed and whispered, were supposed to represent values, leadership, and vision. But if a moment of humility could shake their respect, what did that say about the foundation we were supposed to build on? I wasn't looking for applause. I wasn't trying to teach a lesson. I just wanted to see if integrity still held weight in rooms obsessed with prestige. That morning, I didn't need to raise my voice. I didn't need to argue. I simply realized some partnerships aren't worth the paperwork, no matter the size of the deal. When respect is absent before the handshake, it's already too late for trust to grow after it. I walked into that boardroom calm, collected, the way you do when your decision is already made. They were all there, pressed suits, confident grins, some of them still not realizing I'd heard every word the night before. The presentation was ready, contracts stacked, pens laid out like weapons. Billions were on the table. A deal that had taken months to build, but none of it felt right anymore. I looked around the room, not at the numbers or the projections, but at the people. And all I could think was asterisk, if this is how they treat someone before a contract is signed, imagine the respect that would vanish once it was. Asterisk, that's the thing about character, it doesn't show up on spreadsheets, but it determines everything. So I closed the folder. I thanked them for their time, and I said I wouldn't be moving forward. The room went still, confused faces, some forced smiles, others waiting for a punchline, but there wasn't one. Just silence, and then, eventually, panic. See, the moment you walk away from something that no longer aligns with your values, that's when you realize how powerful it is to stand still while others chase status. I didn't cancel that deal out of ego. I canceled it because no amount of money is worth building something on a cracked foundation. If the cost of doing business is losing yourself, then the real price is far too high. Word got out faster than I expected. I hadn't said much, just walked out calm, no dramatic exits. But within hours, headlines were spinning and phones were lighting up. Deal canceled over disrespect, humility over billions, that kind of thing. People started talking, and not just the business world. Social media picked it up, and suddenly there were thousands of comments. Some outraged, some inspired, some just shocked that someone would walk away from that kind of money. But here's what struck me. The conversation wasn't really about the deal anymore. It was about asterisk. Why asterisk I walked away. People weren't just talking numbers, they were talking values, respect, character, the kind of stuff we all say matters, but sometimes forget when power or prestige walks into the room. And what surprised me most, it resonated deeply. Strangers shared their own stories, times they were talked down to, dismissed, humiliated for staying true to who they were. That's when I knew this wasn't just about me. It had become something bigger, a reflection of how often we overlook the quiet ones, the kind ones, the ones who choose humility over flash. And for a moment, people paused. They thought about how they show up, how they treat others when no cameras are rolling. Sometimes the loudest statement isn't made in protest. It's made in walking away, with your values still intact. In the days that followed, something unexpected happened. I started getting letters not from executives or investors, but from everyday people. A single mom who'd been overlooked in a job interview because of the way she dressed. A teenager who'd been laughed at for bringing lunch from home while others flaunted designer brands. A retired teacher who said the story reminded her that kindness still had a place in the world. These weren't stories about money. They were stories about dignity, about being seen, or too often, being ignored. It reminded me that the smallest moments, someone choosing respect when they could have chosen power, choosing humility when they could have chased applause, those moments ripple far beyond what we can see. What started as a simple act, walking into a hotel with a coupon and walking out of $1 billion deal, became something people could hold on to. Not as a grand gesture, but as proof that doing the right thing quietly still matters. Legacy isn't about buildings with your name on them. It's about the unseen impact you leave behind, a decision made in silence, a line you refused to cross, a moment when you chose to stay grounded when it would have been easier to rise above others. And if even one person stands a little taller, stays a little kinder, or values themselves a little more because of that choice, then that's a legacy worth more than any deal. So in the end, it was never about the money, not the suits, not the contracts, not the rooms filled with polished smiles and rehearsed respect. It was about something far simpler, choosing to walk with integrity, even when no one's clapping for it. Because when the lights fade and the headlines disappear, all that's left is who you are when no one's watching. And if standing for something means standing alone, then I'll take the silence over applause every time.